May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer. Let's all turn to page 3 for the pre-candlelighting readings. Nancy Chesley will come up. And we'll go from page 3 to page 2.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who hold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu b'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Thank you, Nancy. Rabbi Baruch has created a new tradition of actually doing the Kiddush at the beginning of the service. And since our president was kind enough to bring me the wine, fresh out of the freezer, by the way, we'll continue on page 4. Vayi erev, vayi boker, yom hashishi, and there was evening and there was morning, the 6th day. Vayichulu hashemayim v'ha'aretz v'tzola'am, vayichel Elohim bayom hashvi'i melachto asher asa, vayeshbot bayom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa, v'yavarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i v'kadesh otoki vo Shabbat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kadashah v'yahavov ratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom tachila l'mikroei kodesh Zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim Kivanu v'charta Yotanu kidashta Mikol ha'amim V'shabbat kadshecha V'yahavra u'ratzon Inechatanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Shabbat Shalom. We'll continue with some openings mirot for the Kavanah Panim on page 10. Lisa requested we start with Yedid Nefesh. Yedid Nefesh Avarachaman. Yedid Nefesh Avarachaman. V'shochavdecha el ritzonecha. V'shochavdecha Anybody have a favorite on these 2 pages? Oh, yeah. Okay, Elachamda will be the last one on page 11. Elachamda libi, chosana ve'ana titalem. Elachamda, chamda libi, chosana ve'ana titalem. Elachamda, chamda libi, chosana ve'ana titalem. 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 Let's continue. It's important to start Shabbat song all the time. Take me back to youth group days when we would stand around the campfire, sing Shabbat songs. Really gets us ready for Shabbat, which is the meaning of Kabbalat Shabbat. We'll continue on page 12 in the English, bottom paragraph. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai, raise a shout for our rock and deliverer. Let us come into God's presence with praise. Let us raise a shout for God in song, for Adonai is a great God, the great ruler of all divine beings. Continue together on the top of 13. In God's hands are the depths of the earth. The peaks of the mountains are God's. God's is the sea, God made it, and the land which God's hands fashioned. Come, let us bow down and kneel, bend the knee before Adonai our Maker. For Adonai is our God, and we are the people God tends, the flock in God's care. Oh, if you would but heed God's charge this day. Continuing on page 14, in Psalm 97. Sing to Adonai a new song, sing to Adonai all the earth, sing to Adonai, bless God's name, proclaim God's victory day after day. Tell of God's glory among the nations, God's wondrous deeds among all peoples. For Adonai is great and much acclaimed. God is held in awe by all divine beings. All the gods of the peoples are mere idols, but Adonai made the heavens. Glory and majesty are before God, strength and splendor are in God's temple. Together, let the heavens rejoice and the earth exult. Let the sea and all within it thunder. The fields and everything in them exult. Then shall all the trees of the forest shout for joy in the presence of Adonai, for God is coming. God is coming to rule the earth. God will rule the world justly and its peoples in faithfulness. We'll continue on page 20.
I haven't read this one in a while. Haven't read this one in a while. I have not read this one in a while.
Okay, and we'll do this one today.
Sure.
L'chadodi l'krat kala, p'dei Shabbat b'Kabbalah. L'chadodi l'krat kala, p'dei Shabbat b'Kabbalah. L'chadodi l'krat kala, p'dei Shabbat b'Kabbalah. L'chadodi l'krat kala, p'nei Shabbat b'Kabbalah. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad, ishmi'anu el hamichad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shemo teferet v'letehillah. L'chadodi l'krat kala, p'nei Shabbat b'Kabbalah. L'chadodi l'krat kala, p'nei Shabbat b'Kabbalah. Verse 2. L'krat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi makor habracha, merosh mekedem neslucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava tehila. L'chadodi לחדוני לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לחדוני לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. If you choose, please rise and face the Sabbath prayer. נקבלה, גם בשמחה תולה, תוך אמונם סגולה, בואי קלה, בואי קלה. לחדוני לקראת שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. לחדוני לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. We continue on page 22 with a song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. With a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together. You have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai, how very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this together. The righteous bloom like a big palm. They thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they flourish in the courts of our God. In old age, they still produce fruit. They are full of sap and freshness, attesting that God, Adonai, is upright, my rock in whom there is no wrong. And we'll continue with the very well-known Shalom Aleichem on the next page, page 24. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Terchem B'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. B'chuli l'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shetchem b'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. On page 27, teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Together, teach my lips a blessing and a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. Yitkadal, Yitkadal, Shmei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ma Divrach Ertev Yamlich Malchuteh. V'chayechon v'yomechon Uchay v'chal Beit Yisrael Pagala, Pagala Uvizman Kariv Yemaru Amen Yesh Me'Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Ulam Me'omaya Yitbarach Yitbarach Yishtabach Yitbar V'Yitlamach Yitnaseh Yihadar V'Yitalev Talal Shemei B'Chusha B'Yichu Le'olam Mikol B'Chata V'Shirata Tush B'Chata V'Nechemata Ta'amiran Yama V'Yemaru Amen. We continue on page 28 with the call to worship as we all rise for the Baruch Hu. see if I've got the right la la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 We continue on page 31 together. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Amariv Aravi. On the page 33, together, as you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean to struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We continue on page 34. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shekavod, Shekavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Please be seated. That sounded great. We continue with the V'ahavta on 36. If you choose to chant along in the Hebrew, it's on the top of the page on 36. If you'd like to read along in the English, we'll skip the Hebrew altogether, it's also on page 36, and you may read it silently. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, v'chal levavecha, v'chal nafshecha, v'chal moedecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh. Asher Anochi Nitzavcha Hayom al levanecha V'shinantam levanecha V'dibartecha V'shiftecha v'etecha V'lechtecha v'ateret V'shmachtecha v'kumecha V'kshatam liyot ayadecha V'hayu l'totafot bein einecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים, אני Adonai Elohechem. And we continue on page 39, middle of the page, responsively. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. Together? From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. I'm sorry. That's your point. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one in peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
This la la la, the Schaefer Michamach la la la. La 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 We continue on the middle of page 42, together in the English. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, for your name's sake be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, O God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, O God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and our coming to life and peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. We continue with the top paragraph on page 45, and then we'll go straight to Vishamru on page 44. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat L'doretam barit olam Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat L'doretam barit olam Anyway, B'nai Yisrael, Elohim Le'olam, Shabbat L'Dor Domerit Olam. Eyitim Asaronai, Asaronai, Et Hashamayim, V'et Haaretz V'shamru, V'nei Yisrael, Et HaShabbat, L'asot, Et HaShabbat, L'Dor Domerit Olam. Umashvi, Shabbat Vayinafash, Shabbat Vayinafash, Shabbat Vayinafash, V'shamru, B'nei Yisrael, Et HaShabbat, L'asot, Et HaShabbat, L'Dor Domerit Olam. We continue on page 155 with the Amidah. Please rise as you are able. And we will begin together on 155 and everybody's got to the page. Adonai Sefer Tiftach Ufi Yaditi Latecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. We'll continue on page 156. If you choose to chant the Hebrew, fine. If you'd rather read it in English, feel free to do that as well. At the top of 156. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu v'Elohei Avraham v'Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov v'Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'HaGorah El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zocher Chasdei Avos Yimahu U'Mevi Geula L'Vneihem L'Ma'an Shemo B'Yahava Melech Hosea Moshi Omageh Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor L'Elam Adonai B'Chayei HaKol Atah Rav L'Hoshia Mechalkel Chayim B'Chesed L'Chayei HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim Tzomech Noflim V'Rafech Olim U'Matir Askurim U'Mekayem Emunato L'Shenei Afar Milchamocha Bal Gevurot U'Midon Elach Melech B'Mid U'Mechayeh U'Matzliach Yeshua Ne'eman Atah Le'Hayot HaKol Baruch Atah Adonai B'Chayei HaKol Atah Kadosh Mishumcha Kadosh V'Kadoshim B'Chol Yom Yahalalucha Selah Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy bless you, praise you every day. Please be seated. We'll read responsively on page 160. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth.
May all struggle find rest on this day.
May all who suffer find solace.
May all who hurt find healing on this day.
May all who despair find purpose.
May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day.
And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Be gracious, O God, Adonai our God, to your people Israel, and receive our prayers with love. O may our worship always be acceptable to you. Fill us with the knowledge that you are near to all who seek you in truth. Together on the top of page 163, for the good in us which calls us to a better life, we give thanks. For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise. For the desire in us which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful. For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, All praise to the source of peace being. And on the top of page 164, Shalom Ra'ah Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Ra'ah Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki atahu melech shalom L'cha shalom. L'cha shalom. Shalom Ra'ah Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Ra'ah Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chal עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. Please take a moment for personal and private meditation or prayer, or choose one of the 3 paragraphs of reading on pages 166 and 167. Shalom Libraman, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ya'kol Yisrael. 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 Now let us turn to page 253, where we'll say the Mishaberach. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. I have the names of Becky Trieger, Lucy Caron, Lindy Seltzer, Perry Singer, Elaine Piltz, Howard Piltz, Nancy Keel, Heidi Singer, and Rita Singer. Does anybody have any other names they'd like?
Harvey Rothschild.
Harvey Rothschild.
Mary Bennett.
Mary Bennett. May the Blessed and Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us all say, Amen. Misheberach avotenu, makor habracha li'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. And let us all say, Amen.
Amen.
This week's Torah portion is Bishalach. It means he sent them. And it's the climax of the book of Exodus. First climax, second climax is receiving the Ten Commandments. But I found it fascinating, as we're reading through today's service, how much reference there is to Moshe and Miriam and the Micha Malcha. And it's all part of this week's Torah portion. In most Reformed congregations, we're reading a section that I'll describe to you, but there's a lot more to the story. But it begins at the beginning at the seventh plague, and we come to the 10th plague, and Pharaoh no longer lets them go. He says, get out. Right? Our children are dying, get out. When Pharaoh sent them out, God led the people round about by way of the Sea of Reeds. Moses took the bones of Joseph with them, and God went before them in a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. When Pharaoh learned that the people had fled, he had a change of heart, and he chased the Israelites with chariots, overtaking them by the sea. Greatly frightened, the Israelites cried out to God and complained to Moses. The Israelites were always complaining to Moses. Exodus is full of the Israelites complaining to Moses. God told Moses to lift up his rod, hold out his arm, and split the sea. Moses did that. And God drove back the sea with a strong east wind, and the Israelites marched through on dry ground, the waters forming walls on their right and left. The Egyptians pursued, but God slowed them by locking their chariot wheels. More about that later. On God's instruction, Moses held out his arm, and the waters then covered the chariots, the horsemen, and all the Egyptians. Moses and the Israelites, and then Miriam, who's famous for this, sang a song to God, celebrating how God hurled horse and driver into the sea. The Israelites went 3 days into the wilderness and found no water. When they came to Marah, they could not drink the bitter water. So again, they grumbled against Moses. God showed Moses a piece of wood to throw into the water, and the water immediately became sweet and drinkable. The Israelites came to the wilderness of Zin and grumbled in hunger against Moses and Aaron. God heard their grumbling, and in the evening quail covered the camp, and in the morning fine flaky manna covered the ground like frost. The Israelites gathered as much of it as they required. Those who gathered much had no excess. They were able to finish it all, and those who gathered little had no deficiency. Moses instructed none to leave any of it over until morning, but some did, and it became infested with maggots and stank. On the 6th day, they were allowed to gather double the food. Moses instructed them to put aside the excess until morning, and it did not turn foul the next day, the Sabbath. Moses told them that on the Sabbath they would not find any manna on the plain, yet some went out to look for it and found nothing. Moses actually ordered that a jar of the manna be kept throughout the ages, and the Israelites ate manna for 40 years. When the Israelites encamped at Rephidim, there was no water, and the people quarreled with Moses. God told Moses to command the rock at Horeb to produce water, and they called the place Massah, which means trial, and Meribah, which means quarrel. It was at that encampment in Rephidim that Amalek attacked Israel from behind when the Israelites were tired. Moses stationed himself on the top of the hill with the rod of God in his hand, and whenever Moses held up his hand, Israel prevailed. You may remember this from the Ten Commandments. He held up both hands, and the Joshua and the armies prevailed, and he got tired and lowered his arms, and then Joshua's army began to lose. When he grew weary, he sat on a stone, and Aaron and Hur supported his hands, and that's in the movie too. And Joshua overwhelmed Amalek in battle. God instructed Moses to inscribe a document as a reminder that God would utterly blot out the memory of Amalek. That happens to be the concluding line of my parsha, of my bar mitzvah parsha, which is in Deuteronomy, but that's another story. Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks, the late chief rabbi of Great Britain, is my go-to for Divrei Torah. And on YouTube, he told us, in September 10, 2010, BBC, Reuters, and other news agencies reported on a sensational scientific discovery. Researchers at the U.S. National Center for Atmospheric Research and the University of Colorado have shown through computer simulation how the division of the Red Sea really may have taken place. Using very sophisticated modeling, they demonstrated how a strong east wind blowing overnight could have pushed water back at a bend where an ancient river is believed to have merged with a coastal lagoon. The water would have been guided into the two waterways, and a land bridge would have been opened at the bend, allowing people to walk across the exposed mudflats. As soon as the wind died down, the waters would have rushed back in. As the leader of the project, not Moses, the Center of Atmospheric Research, as the leader of the project said when the report was published, the simulations match fairly closely with the description in Exodus. So now we have some scientific evidence to support the biblical account, although to be fair, a similar case was made some years prior by Dr. Colin Humphreys, a professor of material science at Cambridge University and professor of experimental physics at the Royal Institution in London, in his book, The Miracles of Exodus. To Sacks, however, the real issue is what the biblical account really is, because it is just here that we have one of the most fascinating features of the way the Torah tells its stories. Here's the key passage. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. The waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground with a wall of water on their right and on their left. The passage can be read in two ways. The first is that what happened was a suspension of the laws of nature. The laws of nature didn't apply. God being God was able to just command it. It was a supernatural event. The water stood literally like a wall. The second is that what happened was miraculous, not because the laws of nature were suspended. To the contrary, as the computer simulation shows, the exposure of dry land at a particular point in the Red Sea was a natural outcome of the strong east wind. What made it miraculous was that it happened just then, when the Israelites seemed trapped, unable to go forward because of the sea, unable to turn back because of the Egyptian army pursuing them. That may have been the real miracle. There's a significant difference between these interpretations. The first appeals to our sense of wonder, how extraordinary that the laws of nature would be suspended to allow a fleeing people to go free. It's a story to appeal to the imagination of a child. But the naturalistic explanation is wondrous at another level altogether. Here the Torah is using the device of irony. What made the Egyptians of the time of Ramses so formidable was the fact that they had the latest and most powerful form of military technology known in the world at that time, the horse-drawn chariot. It made them unbeatable in battle and fearsome. So what happened at the sea is poetic justice of the most exquisite time. There's only one circumstance in which a group of people traveling on foot can escape a highly trained army of charioteers, namely when the group passes through a muddy seabed. The people can walk across, but the chariot wheels get stuck in the mud. The Egyptian army can neither advance nor retreat. The wind drops, the water returns. The powerful are now powerless, while the powerless have made their way to freedom. This second narrative has a depth that the first does not. the elegantly simple way in which the division of the Red Sea is described in the Torah so that it can be read as two different levels. One is a supernatural miracle, the other a moral tale about the limits of technology when it comes to the real strength of nations. This is what was most interesting to Rabbi Sachs. That is pretty interesting to me as well. It's a text carefully written so that our understanding of it can get deeper and deeper as we mature, once we're no longer so interested in the mechanics of miracles and are more interested in how freedom is won or lost. It's good to know how the division of the sea happened, but there remains a depth of the story that can never be exhausted by computer simulations or other historical or scientific evidence, and it depends instead on being sensitive to its deliberate and delicate ambiguity. The word ruach, spirit, or wind, has two meanings. It's a physical wind that can part waters and expose the land beneath. But ruach is also the human spirit that can expose beneath the surface of a story the deeper meaning beneath. Shabbat Sholom. I think that did it in my 8 minutes that I would allow myself. We now turn to the Olena, page. There we go. 282. 283. Who's talking about 282? I guess we point this out on a number of occasions, but there's 3 versions of the Oleno here in Hebrew, and the one that we traditionally do in these congregations, the middle one. And one of these days, when we have an organist or something, maybe we'll teach the congregation one of the other 2. But we'll start with the middle one on page 282, so please rise. Would you like to open the one?
Yep. I just wanted to say that.
I thought you might. Oleno Shabbat Adon Yaakov, Latei Kidulam Yosher Reshit, Shalom Asan Kukaye Aratzon, V'lo Samanu K'mishkachot Adama, Shalom Sam Kalkeinu Kahem, V'gor Aleinu, V'gol Amonam, V'anachnu Korim, U'mishnachim U'modim, L'teferet Ha'elohim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Ne'emar, V'haya Adonai, Melech ha'oretz,
Hayom Hahu, Hayom Hahu, Yeh Adonai Echad, U'Shemo, U'Shemo, U'Shemo. Please choose one. Please be seated and choose one of the meditations on 288 and the following pages. We now think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. Last week, services were canceled, so the names of the people who passed in prior years and who would have been honored last week were Rabbi Meyer Abramowitz, Captain Robert A. Barker, Fania Brodsky, Luba Brover, Paul Drayman, Morris Ferentz, Sylvia Friedman, Joyce Friedman, Esther Frisch, Inga Gerstel, Samuel M. Golden, Robert Clayman Hagan, Kathy Herman, James Hiller, Hannah Myers Hersheimer, Sam Hersheimer Jr., Abraham Klein, William Klein, Norman Lazarus, David Levine, Laura Shea Loring, Carol Marks, Clyde Myers, Jeanette Meyerstein, Lawrence Mason Miller, Jacob Philip Myers, Harry Potish, Charles S. Salzenstein, Jeanette Catherine Squirrel, Helen Shea, Samuel Wolf, and Jack A. Wolf. And those who passed away within the past year in our congregation are Judy Foster, Elizabeth Turk, Michael Falk, Daniel Ballin, Alvin Carlin, Norma Gerstel, Richard J. Spence, Ralph Hurwitz, and Hazel Holly. In addition, in prior years, Fortuny Abu, Jeffrey Ballin, Harry Barnhart, Leland Beck, Sylvester Bobinski, Edith Phyllis Eckstein, Sylvia Falk, Martin J. Hecht, Anna B. Hecht, Adolf Herman, Silas Hexter, Ann Konigsberg, Rose I. Leshen, Max Howard Morantz, Miriam Marks, Tilly Meyerstein, Gertrude Rhodes, Louis Roberts, Jean Sage, Albert Salzenstein, Minnie Salzenstein, Natalie Sklar, Mary Jane Turner, Joseph A. Zoraski, Bessie Rothschild, and Anna Condi. Does anyone else have somebody else to?
Carl Keene.
Carl D. Any other names that we have not mentioned? Now, we will all rise as a congregation now for the Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabbah, Yamad v'rach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yamechon, v'chayechon beit Yisrael, ba'ar v'lav zman kariv yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah m'vorach v'yolam v'meh Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yitamam v'yimaseh Yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei v'kurashah v'yichlu Le'elam mikol b'chata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiran v'yamav v'yimru amen Yehei shlomo Rabbah min shemayim v'chayim oleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen Oseh shalom v'yimru Kuyad oseh shalom Oleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. And the source of peace grant peace to all of those who mourn and comfort to the bereaved among us. And let us all say, Amen. Please be seated. Are there any announcements?
I don't know if anybody's going to take me up on it. We need volunteers to be representatives of TBS or SBJE. I don't see any volunteers, but maybe somebody out there will volunteer.
And don't be trying to get my dad to join. He already did 4 years on it.
Thanks.
Also, I'm in the show. I got a show next weekend.
What's
Yes.
your-
What's the name of the show?
Mean Girls. Mean Girls at the Hopeland. It's you call or text my father. He can get you get your
Tickets?
what?
You
What?
give us tickets?
We know how to get it.
Yeah, you know, we should
Yes.
give tickets. Okay.
We'll vote Adon Olam or Ein Kelohenu.
In California.
He's the only one voting. Ein Kelohenu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Moshiachenu, Michaelohenu, Michaelonenu, Michaelmalkeinu, Michmoshiachenu. Page 322, by the way. Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshiachenu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshiachenu. Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Matenu, Atahu Moshiachenu. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.